So this is going to be an improvised something. Test, test. You guys can hear me, right? All right. So my name is Sascha. I have a background in blockchain and other stuff. I'm the CEO and founder of Green Mining DAO, the first tokenized Bitcoin mining DAO in the world. And we were talking about DeFi, finance, payments, so these kind of things. And we had, to begin with what we did, it was split in two different parts. One yesterday was more the identification of what DeFi, NFTs, payments, and DAOs and all of these kind of things are. And it was a very lively discussion between all the members that participated, so thank you very much. That was very fun. We went through like 40 slides that were supposed to be on there, but we can't figure it out, so don't worry about it. It was more a situation where everyone would share what they experienced in those kind of fields, how they used NFTs, how they got burned with DeFi protocols, how they would actually be part of a DAO. So it was really to synchronize the group and get everyone on kind of a similar level, or at least to learn about what others have experienced in that space. And we also followed the design thinking process, so I don't need to describe it anymore because my predecessors already did that. Thank you very much. And we did prototyping with a model called Token Model Canvas, which is here, which I will share a few words about in a second. That's kind of similar to a business model canvas, just used for tokenomics, or token economics, I'm sorry. And that was done today, but in a smaller group. And an interesting thing is what happened yesterday when it was about discussions. It was really, they were experienced, non-experienced. We had a very diverse group, so that's why also the outcome was, I think, for some people very igniting or interesting. For others, it may have been a little bit more boring. But then today we went with a smaller group into this, and the process that we went forward is, on the left side you see the problem statements, and I'm now going to probably lose Mike all the time, but after we had talked about finance, payments, decentralized finance, and everything out of that, the participants identified various problems within that system. So just to read out of that, now I'm also translating German to English, like that there's too much regulatory problems to really innovate certain things, would have been one. Another one was, a missing willingness of larger players to adopt and to really bring innovation to the space. So various or cross-border regulations. So we identified various. Perfect. Thank you so much. You're my savior. So there were various problems identified that hindered. We started actually with one big. It's really So these things here are actually tied to a bigger problem, which is what is the most necessary thing in payments? Fast, easy, and compliant transactions, and cost and time efficient transactions between several parties. And what we figured out here, or what the participants figured out here, were problems that had to do with this initial issue and tried to nail down specific problems that we could actually solve. And then out of this, we created a how might we question, and ended up to be how might we create a fast, time, and cost-efficient, reliable money transfer system that traditional players are willing to implement into their normal business. So how do banks actually realize a payment from Germany to Mexico within a second and not within 12 days? That's eventually the problem. So you see this all happened with a voting mechanism, and you also see the size of the group by that. If you then go to the solution space, we took this how might we question and then brainstormed certain, or not me, but the group brainstormed great solutions. And one was, for example, to have one integrated systems where several banks from all sorts of countries would become one system, and we would obviously then go deeper in what that actually means. But to build a blockchain that then interconnects them. There was also an idea of one global bank, one global entity. The second one was, and that's the most interesting, I think,
throughout the discussion, we every once in a while came back to if we want fast, reliable, and cost and time efficient transactions, we have that already. Yeah, we go to Bitcoin, done. But we added this small sentence on the bottom that global big banks and players are willing to integrate, right? So that was always the challenge that we had in mind. So one idea was still from the participants, no bank, done. A third one was use the trust of the bank to utilize mass adoption of cryptocurrencies or fast payments. Education was another one. And we basically, after this, ended up with a more detailed how might we question, which was how can we create this fast monetary transfer system by using existing decentralized technologies and by utilizing the trust of banks that they might have or might not have. So there was also a lively discussion. Do they actually have trust towards their customers? And does it make sense to offer these kind of cryptographic products towards them because they have a better standing or not? So very lively conversations and discussions. The result, maybe you can come a little bit over. Thank you so much. The result eventually was the group picked. I mean, you can't read it anyway, I guess. So the group picked solution or the like kind of cluster number 1, which was create one system. And our solution to the question, how can we create fast, reliable, cost and time efficient transactions that big players are willing to adopt or integrate, was let's build one bank integrating blockchain. And for that, we used the token model canvas. We had the problem here. The solution was already mentioned, one integrated system that was building on the trust of banks so that banks could go to their customers and say, look, I'm offering you payments within seconds. The customer would not even know that they're using a blockchain technology or any token, but they're just using the normal service. Why? Because the banks actually would run the nodes of the blockchain, be it proof of work or proof of stake, doesn't really matter. And they would therefore kind of have at least control or some transparency over the network. And so Bob would go to the bank, have $100, would try to transfer it to Hans in another country, and the $100 on that blockchain would be transferred into our bank token. So bank token on the bank chain would then be transferred to this other country's bank. And then, what did I say, Hans? Hans would then receive not even the tokens, but just the dollars in their bank account. So we would have kind of an interoperability through this blockchain. Obviously, there's a lot of technicals that we didn't even talk about or touch on, but that's also due to the diversity of the group's knowledge, which wasn't the idea of this workshop at all. The use of the token in this model would obviously be the transport. So, because once you go exchange fiat to token would be used to transfer the money. And the velocity of the token model would be, obviously there's an increase in token amount when fiat is put into the system, and once the fiat is taken out, token would be burned. If we then go to the user would have been banks and their customers. We were actually, like the banks would be our customers, whereas the users of the bank would also be our users. And how the incentivization model would be for users to use it, instant transfer between Germany and Mexico or other countries, very reliable and also transparent. For the banks, it would be very cost efficient because currently they have various levels in between that they could cut out and wouldn't have to pay these fees. What else do we have? Then user interaction. The beauty here is the model actually, if the banks run the blockchain, run the nodes, and do this transfer to the over-the-counter kind of job, nothing changes for the user. So the user would just go to the bank, bring their money, and money could be transferred. They would not even know that it's a blockchain or a token. And that's kind of the idea that we wanted to build on, so that we use the trust that the banks may have or may have not built over the last decades to bring this to mass adoption. Revenue model, we would actually be doing an abo model for our banks. So bank would pay per account that is using this technology, which I think is a fantastic solution. Transaction fee would be a second opportunity to do, and then costs were developing software nodes and do sales. Did I cover everything or did I forget? Huh? Yeah, you guys happy with? Okay. So I think this was a very interesting challenge. over the last 2 days because we were confronted with so many different levels of understanding, knowledge, and experience. But I'm very proud and happy of the group today that developed this, and thank you very much. We're done.